All right, we're going to be looking at some volume here. So we're going to have an example here that we have a concrete footing. A footing is the part that goes underneath the house. This is the floor of a house, and this is the dirt, and this is called a footing. And so this takes the weight of the house and makes it so the house doesn't sink in the ground. All right, gives it a good, strong, solid base. So this is what the footing looks like. This thing down here, kind of an upside down T. And we need to find the volume of that to figure out how many cubic yards. The question asks us for how many cubic yards of concrete we need. All right. So in order to do this, we're going to need the same units here. So the first thing we want to do, convert this all to either to inches or feet. If we convert this to feet, these are going to be decimal numbers. So it's probably easiest to convert this to inches first of all here. So if we take 18 times 12, because there's 12 inches in a foot, we get 216 inches, okay? Now, we can, when we find volume, we've got a couple important formulas, all right? Actually, one for this particular problem. We've got the volume of a prism. A prism is area of the base times the height. So big B is area of the base. Now a prism is any object that has a polygon base or face, and then another polygon face that is identical. So here's just an example. Here we've got this, looks like a trapezoid I drew up top. And if this trapezoid down here is exactly the same, and we have perpendicular sides here, then that's called a prism. So anytime we have a shape that is the same on top and bottom, that's a prism. And to find the volume of a prism, all you need to do is find the area of the base, whatever shape this is, and then multiply it times the height, okay, how tall that is, all right? Now, if we have a rectangular prism, which is a very common one, a rectangular prism, let me draw a little rectangle, means we have rectangles on top and bottom, okay? Then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to find the area of the base, but the area of the base is length times width. And then we're going to multiply times the height. So this is a special form. This is a volume of a rectangular prism. And that's going to be length times width times height, which is the same formula because length times width is big B, area of the base, right? So to find the area of this upside down T-shaped footing, we can do a couple things. We can break it into two rectangular prisms. We've got this one up top, and we've got this one down below. Okay, so let's try that route first of all. Okay, so we'll go method one. All right, method one here, volume. The total volume, and we're gonna try to make one expression, okay? So this right here is, notice it's 8 inches over here. That means this is 8 inches here. So this is gonna be 21 times 8. That'd be maybe your length and width, and your height could be 216. You can call those. You can mix those around. We could say, oh wait a minute, I thought this was the height. 8 times 216 times 21. Well, that works too. All right, you just got to multiply those three numbers together. 8 times 216 times 21. So that's the volume of the top, plus we need the volume of the bottom, and that's 8 by 16, and then 216 long, so 8 times 16. If you think of studying this kind of up on its end and making this the base, which in a moment you'll see that that is if we use the method 2, then we get that. Then this becomes the height. So most of the time we'll think of this as the height, even though it's laying down. So this is kind of like a prism laying down. All right, well, so we can calculate that. So we want to just put that whole thing in the calculator all at once, okay? That is cubic inches, okay? So cubic inches, we've got to look at our conversion now in the back of the book. And so cubic inches in a foot is 1,728. So we got to take that number and we're going to have to divide that number here by, let's take the answer, divided by 1,728. That's how many cubic inches are in a cubic foot. And so we have 37 cubic feet. And then if we look in the back of the book, we have 27 cubic feet in every cubic yard. And see, we're getting that from the back of the book here. Volume, a cubic, where are we at here? Cubic inch. Cubic inch in gallons. Here we are. 1728 cubic inches in a cubic foot because it's 12 times 12 times 12. There's 27 cubic feet in a cubic yard because it's 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet. Okay? All right. So, get that out of the way. We end up with 1.37 cubic yards. All right. So if we're going to go order some cement, we need 1.37 cubic yards. Okay. All right. Now let me show you another way to do that. Okay. Maybe I should kind of show my work a little bit here. We had 63,936. So this is 63,936 cubic inches. Okay. And then we converted that to our cubic yards. Okay. Another way we could do this is we could say this is the base. All right. This is going to be probably a little more useful for us here is to say this T shape is the base. So if we can find the area of this T, then we can multiply it by the base, or the height, sorry. Okay, so let's go with volume as area of the base times the height. Well, the area of the base is that T shape, and that T shape is going to be 2 rectangles. And so that's 8 times 21 plus that rectangle on the bottom, 8 times 16. And that comes out to be 296 square inches. Then we can say the volume is at 296 times 216. Okay? And when we do that, we get the same answer, 63,936 cubic inches, which becomes 1.37 cubic yards. All right? So this one, for this problem, either one's fine. But when we get to some more interesting problems next, we're going to want to use this method where we look at the T shape here, and on the back side, there'd be an identical T shape, right? Okay, so this guy right here would be the same back there. So there's two, those are the bases. And so if you stand this on the end, you can see you have two parallel and congruent faces, okay? So let's look at some other ones, and we're going to want to use a second method, and we'll call this method 2 here. We'll want to use that in general, all right? So this is method 2. Okay, all right. So now we want to find the volume of this plate here, all right? a disc with some holes cut in it. It's got a 14-inch diameter, okay, which means our radius is 7. And then we have it's 7/8 inch thick. So that's going to be our height. We're going to think of this as a prism. Okay, the top and the bottom are this shape right here that has a big circle with little circles in it. Okay, the top and the bottom are the same. Okay, and so if we find the area of the base is this white area. If we find the area of that, then we can multiply area of the base times this height, 7/8. All right, so this is 3/4 inch diameter, which means our radius, what's half of 3/4? Well, that's 3/8. So radius is 3/8 inch. All right, so first thing we got to do, we know that the volume of a prism is area of the base times the height. Capital B now, we're using capital B because it's area of the base. So let's go find the area of the base. Well, how do we describe this white area? It's one big circle minus 5 little circles. Okay, one big circle minus 5 little circles. That's my little pictures there. Okay, not 5 times 0, but 5 little circles. So let's find the area of the big circle. That's pi times 7 squared, because the radius is 7. And then we got to subtract off 5 little circles there. And so that's pi times, and we have 3/8 squared, pi r squared. Remember, the area of a circle is pi r squared. All right, I'm going to clean that up. Okay, all right. So we're going to go to our calculator, punch that in, and see what we get. And we get 151.729. Make sure, watch out when you do this 3/8 squared, you get that in parentheses like that there, all right? So, all right, got 151.729. We'll tuck that away for now. Now remember, that's just the area there, 151.729. Now we got to find the volume. So the volume is area of the base, 151.729 times the height, and the height of this thing was 7/8 of an inch. Okay, so we're going to multiply that by 7/8. See what we get here. Let's go to our calculator there. Since we already have that on the calculator, we'll just do hit the answer key, and times 7 divided by 8, 7/8. And we get 132.76. 132.76. And now that is volume. So that's going to be cubic inches. Okay, that's the idea there. Okay, so anytime you have two faces that are parallel and congruent, use the volume of a prism. All right. Well, here's an interesting one here. We want to calculate the volume of this house, and we got some shapes here that don't look super familiar. We've got this roof part, and then we got the bottom. The bottom part looks familiar, so we can break this into some shapes. We've got the base here of the house. That is a rectangular prism. Okay, so that's going to be easy to find the volume of. We just did some rectangular prisms. But then we got the top. The top, we got to break into a few shapes. If you look at this shape here, now let's look at the end one, actually. All right, so we've got this shape here. And, all right, and then this shape here at the end. There, can you see that they're a mirror image of each other? And if we take those two ends and put them together, what we're going to get is we're going to get a pyramid, a square pyramid. Okay? So those two pieces together make a square pyramid. Okay? And so we have a square pyramid. We got a rectangular prism on the bottom. And in the middle here, this guy here, well, what shape is that? Can you tell? It's got a triangle over here, and it's got a triangle over here. Okay, so that is actually a triangular prism. Okay, so it's going to look something like this. We've got a triangle on the bottom here. Okay, so not a perfect drawing, but it's a triangular prism. We've got these two triangles on the ends, and then this would be the height. Okay, so we got to find the volume of each of these together. All right. And add them together, I should say. Find them separately and then add them together. So the volume, we've got this rectangular prism here. This is length times width times height. So we're going to have 16 times 34 times 9. All right? Now, we've got these other two pieces. That's the rectangular prism. That's the easy part. What we don't know is we don't know this height. But we do know that the roof slope is 5/12, which means that this whole distance of 16, if we cut that in half, we're going to have 8 feet to the middle. I didn't mind, does it look like half, but because we'll assume that it is. So this height right here, let's call this x. All right, so that distance, how tall the roof is. Well, we know the slope, well, let's look again, it's 5/12. The slope is 5/12, so 5/12 has to be equal to x over 8. And if we cross multiply, 5 times 8 is 40, equals 12x. And then we divide by 12. Okay, and there's our answer, all right. So x is 40/12 of a foot. If we simplify that, 4 goes into both of those, that's 10/3, or 3.333 feet. Okay, that should do fine. All right, so that's great. So now we got to find the volume of these two shapes. To find the volume of this middle one, we need area of the base times the height. Well, the area of the base, so we're going to have area of the base times the height. Okay, that's how we find for this guy. Now the height is going to be this distance right here. Okay, the height is this distance here because we're going to stand it on end. This is the base, this is the height. All right. Well, how do we find that height? Well, this is 16. And now something we need to know here is that this is going to be a square because this is 16, this is 8. And that's the way that hip roofs are made. So we're going to provide that information there. That's going to be 8 and 8. All right. And if we subtract 16 from 34, this comes out to be 28. So this is going to be 28. So that 28 is going to be the height of this prism. Okay. Area of the base, well, now we got to find the area of that triangle. Area of a triangle, if you look at your formula sheet in the back, is 1/2 base times height. Now let's just talk about the triangle. I know we just used height twice, but our base is 16. Now just talking about the triangle here. This is going to be the little base of the triangle, and this is going to be the height, which is 3.33. Okay, so our area of that triangle is 1/2 times the little base times the height of 3.33. Okay. That whole thing there is going to be the area, or the volume, I should say, of that middle part. All right, so let's say this. We've got 1, 2, and now let's find 3. This guy right here is a square pyramid. 16, 16, and we know the height is in the middle, 3, 3, 3. All right. Looking at the back of our book, here's our volume formula. 1/3 times the base squared times the height. All right, so b squared is the area of the bottom. This height is like this tent post, okay? So we're going to use that to find the area of that little pyramid. So we're going to take that and we're going to have 1/3 times the times 16 squared times the height, which was that tent post, at 3.333. All right, now we can go bust this out on the calculator. So punch that in, see what we can get. So when we punch all of that on our calculator, let the calculator do the work, we get 5,927 cubic feet. 5,927 cubic feet. And that would be important if you were going to heat or cool or insulate this house, things like that. So, all right. So, lots going on, but the key is break it up into parts. All right. We got volume formulas for prisms. Remember that a prism is the same on top and bottom. All right. If it has the same on top and bottom, use this formula, area of the base times the height. All right. Good job. Keep working hard.